Now, it's been an amazing holiday period in the Premier League, and I'm joined by Liam Brady to discuss it. We'll begin, Liam, by talking about last night's vital game between Manchester City and Liverpool. It was a huge match. It could have given Liverpool a 10-point gap if they won, a 7-point gap with City if they drew, but they were beaten 2-1. What did you make of the game?
Well, I thought it was a brilliant game to watch. An awful lot on it, an awful lot at stake. And I thought it showed in the intensity of the players. Probably not the quality either team have played with through the course of the season, but you could tell, how much it meant. And there was no quarter given. They were getting stuck into one another. There was no time on the ball. And they, to create a chance, you really, really had to work hard. In fact, Liverpool's great chance where Mane hit the post and very nearly crossed the line when Stones and the keeper got in a mix-up.
Yep.
It was a millimetre, wasn't it, from being over the line?
Was,
and if that goes in, it possibly changes the game totally, because then Manchester City might have thrown caution to the wind and let Liverpool's counter-attacking come into the game. But a compelling, riveting game. And if it wasn't for, we have to thank Liverpool, because if it wasn't for them, I think City would be running away with the league. But because Liverpool are playing so well this season, I think it's going to go right to the wire. And obviously, as you said, City winning the game reduces it to 4, and it's game on again.
Yeah, in a big way. I think the Liverpool problem in the last few games, Lovren has had to come into the side, Liam, because Gomez has a stress fracture on his leg. Every goal that they've conceded, almost, Lovren's been involved. The Aguero goal, the first goal last night, I mean, Lovren had him in a very tight spot. It wouldn't have taken a lot of intelligence to block Aguero's attempt. And for the second goal, Lovren left Aguero. Trent Alexander had to go in and pick up Lovren's man. Ball played out to Sané, back of the net. This guy's a very expensive luxury to have in your team.
He is. They're definitely a weaker side with him in the team, although he plays for Croatia, and he had, he reached the semi-final of the World Cup.
Final?
Or the final, should I say? Yes, Simon. He, as you say, he has a mistake in him, and I do think that he gave Aguero half a yard too much room.
Yeah.
For him to swivel and smash that ball into the net. I don't think Van Dijk would have given him the same amount of room. I think he would have closed it out. And he really should know that a player like Aguero, he's up against one of the top strikers in the world. He just can't afford to give him that kind of room. And that was a definite mistake. And it put Liverpool on the back foot. But, they came back into it, didn't they? And
yeah.
I watched everything. I watched all the interviews after the game, and I thought Jurgen Klopp summed it up well. He said it could have gone all three ways, couldn't it? You couldn't have said that City deserved to win. Liverpool had their chances. They didn't come at the right time. Didn't enjoy a bit of luck that you need. So a really fascinating game, Eamon. De Bruyne wasn't used for City. Yeah. That was strange. I thought Salah was marked well. Probably the best defensive performance that you've seen from Man City.
Yes.
There was a bit more steel about them. They won the game in a different way than they usually win. They won the game with getting stuck in, keeping their concentration. I thought Fernandinho showed, when he's missing, that's why he is. They've had a couple of bad results when he's missing, because he does, close those gaps and make really, really important tackles. But it was one with a City that a way of playing that we don't often see.
Yeah, and the key to it, Liam, I think, was the respect that Guardiola has for Klopp and for Liverpool. When they went to Anfield, it was 0-0, remember, and City were very conservative that night. But last night, they played Laporte, who is a central defender, at left back. They had Vincent Kompany back in. He doesn't play often these days, but he plays in the big games, and he made a difference, I think, him and Stones. And they played, he left Walker out as well, and they played Danilo at right fullback. So they had a back four, which for them is extremely unusual. And it showed respect. And as you say, a game like that between two sides that are, I think, a good bit ahead of the rest, if you make a mistake, you should be punished. And that's really what happened. Any mistakes in the area around the goals were punished. And as you say, City adapted. This was not the free-flowing, pressing City. There was a bit of thought, a bit of composure, and they didn't leave themselves short to allow Liverpool to counter-attack, either with Mane or Salah.
Yeah, in the preview to the game, I can't remember who it was, but they were saying, well, Man City have this way of playing and they don't change it for anybody. But they actually did. What you said there was quite true. They did adapt to playing Liverpool. Yeah. And he did pick a team that was players playing in positions that they're used to, and they're defensive-minded rather than full-backs that just throw caution to the wind and attack and could leave spaces down the flanks for the likes of Mane and Salah to exploit. They didn't do that. They didn't really come out of those positions, the full-backs. But I thought Liverpool were a little bit unlucky. You know, they didn't come back and try and defend and try and secure a draw. That would have been a great result for them as well, to keep Manchester City at the distance of 7 points. They didn't do that. You know, I thought both fullbacks, Robertson and Trent Alexander, were getting forward, and it was a really compelling match to watch. And Souness said afterwards, he'd still rather be in Liverpool's position. Okay, it's 4 points, and that's an obvious statement. Yeah. But although they lost Liverpool, I don't see them suffering from that defeat. You know, because in the manner of how they played, they could have very easily won the match. And I'm sure Klopp will be saying to the players, look, this is the way football goes. You can't win them all. We were unlucky on another day. We might have won that match. Nothing to worry about. Let's face the next games. And they've got Wolves in the cup coming up now. Be interesting to see what kind of team he picks there, because he's got Bayern Munich, hasn't he, in the Champions League in February?
Well, that's a bit further down the line. That's around. Yeah,
but I know. But if you win against Wolves tomorrow, then you have another cup match. Later on in January, and the fixtures begin to build up, and you want to be getting your best players on the park for the big matches. So he might have to take a chance at the weekend against Wolves and pick a second string team and see how he goes. That's what I'd be thinking that he may do, because after that they have 5 fixtures. I was looking before.
Brighton is the next league game, isn't it?
Yeah, Brighton, and then they have Palace at home, then they have Leicester at home. They have Bournemouth, they have West Ham away. 5 fixtures that if Liverpool are on blob, if they're playing the way they can, they should take the maximum 15 points. And then we'll see, that puts the pressure on City's another 5 games down the road. If City make any slips, they could have their 7-point lead again. Yeah,
I think that's a fascinating analysis. Would you agree, Liam, that Liverpool and City, Spurs are in third place now, but they are ahead of the rest by a significant degree? I don't see Spurs coming into the argument, although they got a pretty comprehensive 3-0 win at Cardiff, having lost at Wembley to Wolves in the most extraordinary manner.
Well, you see, teams are going to they've played something like 5 games in less than 2 weeks, and there's going to be blips out there. Liverpool didn't show any and I wouldn't call last night a blip.
No.
But Spurs maybe had that blip against Wolves, particularly in the second half. You know, Pochettino said my players were just exhausted and they just couldn't pick themselves up, and they didn't have the intensity. And sometimes the Christmas period throws results up like that. But I do think you're right. I do think Liverpool and Man City will eventually make it a two-horse race, and they'll pull further away from Spurs, because Spurs simply don't have the squad that the other two have, and they don't have the firepower up front that the other two have.